Hi, it's Jay at Iridescent Tarot, back with some more sparkle for ya. So I've been so bad and left this nail polish on for so long just because I really like it. So nothing new and special there for you today, but my perfume of the day is this Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab Antique Lace. The notes of this are nostalgia encapsulated, a soft, wistful blend of dry flowers, aged linens, and the faint breath of long-faded perfume. This perfume is so soft, so ethereal. It's like a long faded perfume that's wafting through an open window that's got like lace curtains like blowing in the breeze. It's gorgeous. I give it a 9 out of 10, and I thought it would be the perfect scent to kick off today's video. And that's because we're going to be talking about some of my most ethereal decks. These are 3 abstract decks that I want to compare. Back when I was trying to pick an abstract deck, because I really wanted something that was just loose and easy to kind of get lost in the imagery, set my intuition on fire with just like, you know, like something that was a little bit more intuitive and that I can like loosely interpret on my own. These were 3 of like the decks that kept popping up, and it was hard to choose between the 3. So obviously I ended up with all 3, and now that I have worked with them in different capacities, I really just want to do a flip through side by side and give the comparison that might have helped me when I was looking at these decks, in case anybody else is on their abstract deck journey right now. So the deck that's probably most well known, well recognized here is the Margarite Peterson Tarot. I obtained this copy off of eBay, and it came with the borders already trimmed, and I got this one because I really wanted one with the grayish white borders, titles on it, and I was happy that it was already trimmed, so that was no issue for me. I also have edged the cards in like a sparkly orange color, and I had to like give them a good wipe down because they weren't the freshest cards that I've ever received from eBay. But that was okay. After some TLC, Margarite's in good shape now, and I did get rid of the box because that was like FUBAR, but the pouch that I knit for her is so comfy cozy, and I think matches really nicely. This is one of my tarot tube socks, and it's actually one of my most favorite bags despite being not like my normal color scheme. I just love how soft this yarn is. Deck number 2 is the Shimmering Veil Tarot by Scylla Conway, and this is one that I also obtained secondhand because it's kind of pricey to get her decks shipped to the US. It's got this lovely hard clamshell box and a little bit of holographic detailing. The backs are stunning. It's got holographic silver gilding, which you know I'm all about. A guidebook, and then 2 extra cards. It's an alternative Fool. That's meant to be the completion of the Fool's journey. So you have 0 and 22 here. So you can put a Fool at the beginning and the end of the major arcana. That's something that I'm just not interested in doing, so I leave this card out. And you also have, this is an alternative in case people don't like the snake. I don't mind the snake imagery, but I just happen to like the other queen better. I also have put washi tape on any of the nudity because apparently it's like a big thing with YouTube right now to flag videos for any nudity. So I did my best to cover up anything that I thought might get flagged. The last deck is the Dust Shamanic Tarot. It comes in this like fabric covered clamshell box. It also has a lovely guidebook, holographic gold edging, and this is probably the most abstract of the 3. These are also the largest cards, so just for a size comparison, we have our Dust Shamanic compared with Shimmering Veil, compared with my trimmed Margarite. So these cards are really, really large, and it kind of prohibits standard shuffling, which means that I don't use this deck quite as much because shuffling is a large part of the experience for me. So part of what I'm looking to do with this video is to see if I feel like there's overlap and redundancy in these abstract decks, like is there one or two that I can maybe rehome and just focus on one singular deck. I'm not sold on that. I'm not entirely sure that that's something that I want to do, but it's something that I do have in mind as we go through these cards together. And these are the backs of the Dream Dust Shamanic cards. So just very quick on the guidebook, Margarite, the version that I got, has this like pretty flimsy little pamphlet that came with it. I put like packing tape over the covers just so that it would like hold up to use, and I trimmed some of it off so that it would fit better in my little tarot tube sock with the deck, because this was bigger before. So it's got like sharp corners and stuff that's like, you know, maybe if you bought an original version it would be better, but this is like the janky job that I did to try to get everything to fit neatly. I had mentioned, if you take a look at the 3 of Moms episode where we talk about Margarite Peterson, I really dislike the ordering of the cards in this guidebook. So you go through the majors and then you talk about the court cards separately, and then you go into the numbered cards. And I just have trouble like finding what I need in this guidebook. That being said, the content in here is excellent. So if you can get over the formatting of it, the poetic card descriptions are very expansive and enjoyable to read. The Shimmering Veil Tarot has a little bit more of a structure to it than Margarite, and the guidebook entries are very clean. So you have small image, the explanation, suggested meanings, and reversed meanings, and they're in an order that makes sense. This is very, very neat, and I like the way that this is laid out a lot. Dream Dust Shamanic Tarot also has a very neat guidebook. It runs through the majors and then all the minors. I do recall seeing somewhere that the creator of this tarot was like not excited about making a guidebook, which in turn makes me not super excited about reading the guidebook. So because these cards have meanings at the bottom, I think that, you know, then maybe the guidebook wasn't entirely necessary. And while I do look at it occasionally, it's not something that I rely on for this deck. So to tell you my bias up front, Shimmering Veil has been my favorite of the 3 in the workings I've done so far, even though I've done a week specifically with Margarite Peterson in the Deck Connectors Club. I just find myself reaching for this deck the most if I am going for an abstract deck. This one, like I said, the size is a little bit of a deterrent for me, but these are the most abstract images of the 3. So it kind of goes in a progression. You've got Margarite, especially in the majors, that are like the least abstract. You've got Shimmering Veil in the middle, pretty solid throughout abstract level. And then Dream Dust Shamanic, which is total abstract all the way through. And a last thing before we start on the flip through, in regards to titles, we've got very clearly written titles at the bottom here, but no numbers for the majors. And when we get to the court cards, they go daughter, son, mother, and father of flames. The suits for Margarite are flames, coins, cups, and feathers. Shimmering Veil has the least intrusive names. So on the majors, you have just the number and infinity symbol to denote the majors. You have elemental symbols to denote the minors. So you have the fire, the earth, the water, and the air. And then for Dream Dust Shamanic, you've got the title and the number for the majors. The aces are called the star. And then the court cards are the sprite, the horse, the goddess, and the shaman. And then for suits, you have fire, earth, sea, and wind. The renaming on this deck is probably my least favorite, because when you have a spread and you've got fire, star, fire sprite, fire horse, fire goddess, fire shaman, it's very difficult to remember which thing is which, and I'm just not a fan of renamings in general in any deck. That being said, I do really appreciate the keyword little blurbs at the bottom here. I think that helps kind of suss everything out. All right, I think that was enough of a preamble. I'm going to flip through all three at once. I don't know how much commentary I'm going to give because I'm trying to soak in the information for myself, but we'll see. I also don't want this to take forever. So you can very clearly track that this looks the most Rider Waite with the figure coming off the cliff, as well as this one following the butterfly off the cliff. And then you've got the dreamer here that is very abstract. This is the card that apparently set off the inspiration for this deck. Although I do love the image, the High Priestess is very haunting in this figure, in this card. And I like that you have the black and the white and then the figure down the middle. See, these are easier for me to interpret than this Empress here. A lot of similarities in the color here. You've got some of the under sketching here. It kind of reminds me of the Vitruvian Man. This Hierophant here is so visceral to me. Like I can really feel the flames as I'm looking at this card. That's one thing that Margarite has over the other two decks, is that when I look at the images, they're very, very visceral. And these two kind of mirror each other with the double figures. I like that. I like this very hermity hermit. The renaming of the crone is cool, but like I said, not my favorite thing to have renamed cards. I'm not a fan of these two depictions of the wheel. This is giving more universe or world energy, and this wheel doesn't do much for me at all. But the Margarite Peterson wheel with the flame in the middle, in the center, really speaks to me. Yeah, I like this Shimmering Veil depiction. It's very clear. It's not super abstract, but I think that it speaks to justice the most for me out of all three. So I like this death card because it's very meditative and as above, so below. I just think it's like there's a lot that you can delve into in the imagery here. This death card is freaking scary. Like, you do not want to be that guy. This is like, it's a frightening death card. And yeah, this is probably like the closest to what I picture when you die. It's just black. I like both of these. Probably Shimmering Veil just a tiny bit more. Margarite Devil with the facets of this gem, just showing you different things. I think, again, it's something that you can delve into for a long time. The Shimmering Veil, grumpy old guy. Like, I can't not see him as like this just mean old man, and he's holding these two hostage. But when this illusion card pops up, it's very, very visceral. Like, if you pull this in a reading, you're like, oh, these kind of look alike, huh? I had mentioned in the Three of Moms episode that, like, when I pull this card, I can hear like the breaking of the glass in my ear. And while I don't get the same like auditory sensation with the Shimmering Veil, like the feeling that's evoked is the same. This is such a cool painting. I don't know that it evokes the same emotion as I get when, say, I pull that Death card or the Devil card. Yeah, a lot of times it seems like these two are in alignment and this is kind of the outlier. I do like how in this moon card, everything is very obscured. Like, you have this fog, you can't see clearly. I like all three of these, but I think Shimmering Veil is the most, like, when you're looking at it, you can feel the sun beating on your face. This one, for sure. It definitely looks like the same figure that's like kind of being swept up into the universe. Okay, we're on to our Flames and Fire suit. So these are our wands. I just love this image so much. I would get a print of this. I like that both of these have like an element of, so you have multiple figures that are fighting, but like the faces on these don't seem super upset in the same way that you have these ones that are fighting, but like other people who are around that aren't like in the midst of the chaos, aren't in the midst of the fighting. And yeah, I can just tell that everything's like layered in a way that's meant to be like kind of competition, confusion, conflict. Yeah, the more that I look at these, in comparison with these, the less that I am enjoying trying to figure out what the strokes on the paintings mean. And I like having a little bit of the help. Like when you look at this, you can see a figure that's like in this bright light, like celebrating their win. And I just feel like there's more to interpret in the first two decks than there is in the last one. Like this evokes the sensation of that go, go, go forward movement of the Eight of Wands to me the most. This reminds me of the meme where it's like a dumpster fire and like you have the figure standing in front of the flames and you're like, everything is fine. Like what image evokes the sensation of carrying this burden that's too much, too heavy to keep going on better than this? Like these two are similar in composition, in color, they look similar, but you get a little bit more out of Margarite. You have a figure in the middle that you can kind of dance and play with, and it's just harder to get anything from Dream Just for me. This is that other version of the Queen of Wands. It's almost like electricity, fire in between her hands that she's creating. I don't really like this card at all. Let's get rid of him. Okay, we're into our pentacles. Again, very similar. This is very similar across all three. You have like the snake-like figure here, you have the snake eating its tail here, and then this round figure here. I don't like this one either. It's similar vibes to that king. This is probably the first card that I've liked the Dream Dust the most out of all of them. This feels like this Wizard of Oz to me with like the flying whatever, and then somebody here that's protecting their precious thing. This I feel like could probably get a little bit more out of than some of the other cards. When there's too many cards that have a similar motif, like the hands and the feet, it starts to get a little confusing for me. So I don't really, this looks more like rest to me. So I want to see what the guidebook says here. In the foreground lies a somnolent figure, head propped up on her hand, while she gazes at the sun slipping down between the mountains on the horizon. The sun still seems to be pulsing with energy, while the figure obviously relishes the play of light before her. She has chosen her spot carefully and can now enjoy the sunset, perhaps resting after a hard afternoon or planning her next day's activities. The seven traditionally warns of laziness or self-absorption, a withdrawal from life. However, this might be a necessary period of rest. Our bodies are often wiser than we ourselves, giving us useful indications of unconscious issues. Exhaustion might indicate a reluctance to proceed along a path our intellect has mapped out. Illness might show that we have pushed ourselves too far. Watching the sunset instead of rushing into some ill-considered action is wise, although there are, of course, times where we ignore the to-do list for far too long until everything becomes urgent. Suggested meanings: recognizing one's limitations, a need for quiet observation before action, but also a need to check that you're not sabotaging yourself by lack of action, becoming aware of the body's messages, which should always be heeded. All right, so it's not your typical interpretation, but it makes sense, and I do like it after reading the guidebook. Why don't we just read the other guidebooks before moving on? So for Margarete Peterson, Seven of Coins. Growth and decay, doing while not doing. You can neither touch, eat, hear, see, nor hold onto time. Time is very powerful. No one can escape the laws of time. Matter is inhabited by time and defined by it. This card tells the stories of time. different stratums containing rock drawings, a skeleton whose flesh has returned to the soil. The lifespan of planets, people, animals, and bacteria is ruled by different but interconnected intervals of time. Growth is possible because of decay. Decay is inevitable because of growth. The secret of beauty is revealed to the inconceivable. The beauty of a flower opening already shows the aura of decay. Don't interfere. Commit to yourself the process of growth. I like that too. All right, Dream Dust, let's see what you got. So down below it says, vision, reward, profit, seeds well planted begin to grow and prosper. Some dreams may take longer to come to fruition, but be patient. That's probably most in line with my typical interpretation of the Seven of Pentacles. The book says, vision, reward, profit. Seven of Earth reveals your hard work has paid off. Seeds well planted prove to be abundant. Some dreams may take longer to come to fruition, but be patient. Nature reflects back your gratitude, intentions, and desires. It holds all the answers you seek if you listen. Be grateful for this rich and abundant life. The rest of the puzzle will come together fruitfully. All right, so that made it a little harder because the interpretation with this is the one that I most strongly resonate with, but I would say the image and the description in the guidebook for this one is the one that I enjoyed the most. I really like this image. It also doesn't speak to my normal 10 of Pentacles interpretation, but something about like all the past histories, the ancestry, like, and the imagery of like going into the tunnel in time. It just really does something for me. This image doesn't look as clear as some of the other ones. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Maybe I just don't love the quartz in Shimmering Veil. This is one of my favorite Margarite cards. I really enjoy the lotus in the mud. Yeah, this is the most traditional. I do really like this image, but it doesn't really speak to the Two of Cups for me. I find that the suit of sea in Dream Dust is very homogeneous. Like a lot of the cards look the same. And this one's so cute. Look at. I love this one too. I don't know, is this doing anything for anyone? Like, are these, are they into like Kabbalah and Tree of Life stuff that I just don't know enough about to really fully appreciate the artwork maybe? And I really like this Nine of Cups too with the oyster and the pearl. This feels very similar. You've got the Daughter of Cups with the floating figure in the water here, and then this figure that's submerged here. I like those together. No. No. The windsuit is the most visually beautiful to me in Dream Dust. I really like the balance of the head and the heart in this one. Okay, this one's really cool. So I like the, you can see the similarities between this figure here who's bound to something and it's the same. That's evocative. So that's the flip through of the 3 decks. Now that I've done that, I feel like I have a pretty good idea of the number of cards that I prefer from each of the different decks and what I think I might do in the future. I'm not saying it's a definite, but it seems to me like this one is potentially on the chopping block in the future. This is the one that I continue to relate to the most and that I think is like the one for me out of these 3. And I feel like with Margarite, I can spend a little bit more time deep diving with her, but ultimately I don't know that this is a forever deck for me. I think that there's a lot of information and learning that I can glean from this deck, but I don't know that when I want to go for an abstract deck that I'm going to reach for her over Shimmering Veil. I just think that this one speaks to me more. And yeah, I think that this was a very fruitful comparison for me. I hope it was helpful for you as well. I guess just to round it out, I'll shuffle with each of them and drop my commentary on it. Margarite isn't the easiest to shuffle because, as I mentioned, she's been trimmed, so it's not perfectly even. So the shuffling isn't super clean. I do like the thin, flexible cardstock and get a pretty good overhand distribution of cards. Let's just pull one card from each deck. See what we get. I read with jumpers. 5 of Flames. I think it knows that this competition wasn't in its favor. Shimmering Veil. The cardstock is pretty firm, so it doesn't have like a super flexible ripple, but the overhand is really nice and the cardstock feels like it's going to hold up well. 7 of Wands. I feel like it's been defending its position in this video, and like that in similar way of the I think it was the 6 of Wands card where it was like victorious with that bright light behind it. This feels like, yeah, like I had to prove myself here and I'm coming out on top. And then with Dream Dust, if I try to get my hands around it, this is what it looks like. It's a very uncomfortable and just not good. So what I typically do is just split them and shuffle this way, which does work nicely because the cardstock is pretty thin, and so it's able to riffle that way, which is nice. And then the overhand, again, like the stretch is just too much. So I typically will fan it. Sea star, who knows what that means? So the sea star is the, what is it? The stars are the aces. So this is the Ace of Cups. Oh, it's like, it wants me to open up my heart a little bit to allow it to show me what it has to offer. And I think that I'm willing to do that. Like, as snarky as I can be about it, like, I bought this deck for a reason in the first place. I do love a lot of things about it. I think the artwork is beautiful. I really like the gilding, the keywords are great. And like, maybe I just need to spend a week deck connecting with this deck and see what I think after that. Okay, all right, well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. Leave me a comment with any of your thoughts, which deck that you preferred. If you have any of these, what your thoughts are, any other interpretations or things that you'd like to add, other decks that you like that are more abstract. I'd love to hear about them. And I will talk to you later. Signing out.